It's just me and Mr. Biggs.
I came back to check the box. I stopped the
Where's everybody else?
And
can you hear me?
Yeah. What'd you do different?
and the one outside the shop has got a float on it. The one in that hole out there, that's secure.
Yeah.
And so I'm leaving it, to
We're on
Okay.
live.
So hey,
We're on YouTube Live.
I'll talk to you in the morning. I got a Bible study to get on right now. Cool. I don't know, something happened that I didn't have the right, the speaker was plugged up.
What's that? One of your old house phones?
No, myself. I just have old phone on it. Go here, Kathy.
Is anybody else on?
No. We're on early anyways.
Early, it's 7:05.
It's 7:01. Hey,
Uh-oh, really?
hey. 7:01. 7:01.
Hey. Do we look too far away?
What's that?
Do we look too far away?
No?
All right.
I don't think so. Hey, Mrs. Biggs.
Hey, how are you?
Just knock it off. Let me go here and see.
Hey, where is everybody at your house? It's quiet here.
Annie's helping Angelique go back into her room.
Oh,
She,
how's she doing?
Dog wants it.
She's back to normal, basically. Not back to normal. I mean, she's walking with crutches. We don't have to help her, to the bathroom or,
Right.
she's, I just have to help her when she goes back into the bed to lift her legs because she can't, pull the leg with the
Right.
hip surgery up. So I keep her legs together, locked, and I move her up on the bed and scoot her in.
Are you gonna come to my house when I need you, when Kathy's gone, help me do that?
I'm busy that weekend.
2 weeks. It's 2 weeks.
Yeah, I figured so. Pastor's supposed to come visit their peeps.
I think that you have Justin, and it's gonna take somebody like Justin to help you get around because you have to be able to use leverage to help you get up, and
It's gonna be a lot.
it's not
We'll
gonna
work
be
it out. We'll work it out. It's gonna be all right. Just figuring it out,
I will be coming home that Sunday.
That's good.
I'll change
But
my
there's people watching us on Zoom, so I guess we should get started.
Okay.
So I'm sure they're not as interested in Pat's operation as we are. So
Hey, I'll put this on mute.
I'm gonna sing that song, "Bless the Lord, oh my soul, 10,000 reasons." So you guys wanna mute your phones and follow along. But the song is "Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name." Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. So I give oh my soul, worship His holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. is done, all your days I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to bless the Lord of my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Like never before, oh my soul, worship His holy name. And on that day, when my strength is failing, being drawn near and my time is come, still my soul sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and forever. Bless the Lord, my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Like never before, oh my soul, worship His holy name. All right. Annie, can you pray? Oh, you want to put this away?
I'll put it away
All right.
with my right arm.
You sure? This is that little thing. Joining us over here on the side, just zooming in, is Angelique. Say hi, Angelique. Angelique is with her cool crutches. She's able to stand on one foot and hop along, but she tries to spend time in a chair. She tries to spend time in the recliner. She tries to spend time outside. But today there was no going outside, so she's kind of stir crazy. And she said, "I'm gonna go over here and see what's going on." So she'll be in and out of the picture. Mom was helping her get up and out. So Nick wants to say thank you to all you who prayed for her.
Thank you.
Took her to the doctor for her first doctor's appointment on Monday, and the doctor told us, it was her and me, that he was extremely surprised but impressed that she was off the heavy drugs in 1 week and 4 days. And I told her she's been off of them since the third day. He freaked out, but Angelique just takes ibuprofen to deal with hip surgery. But she's up and about. It's good to see her. Angelique, you're welcome to hang out. You need me to help you get a chair? Or you're just gonna stand for a moment? All right, she says she just wants to stand and hang out. So no, she's done standing. Go sit in her chair. I've had quite a journey or quite an experience with Sunday's sermon. I've been sharing with pastors, and I actually shared on Tuesday's pastor's prayer what happened on Sunday in the sermon that she left her phone here, dear, that I shared with the church. And I just want to tell you, before I left the church on Sunday, I had 4 people tell me that was really good. I needed to hear that. I really needed to hear. I need to think of myself, and I need to say no more often. And even Sunday and Monday, I was dealing with that, with people texting me and telling me, hey, I really needed to hear that. On Tuesday at pastor's prayer, I shared it with the pastors. There was 19 pastors on the prayer, and I told them, I said, hey guys, I asked them, is there anything you need to say no to or say no to more often? And this wet cat just came and got in my lap. He's wet. And as I went around, I had each one of them share something they needed to say no to or let go of. It was really interesting that a lot of these pastors felt overworked, underappreciated, and really found some really good things to share of what they needed to say no to. I was really taken aback by their willingness to share their difficulties. And after they each shared, we then began to talk and pray for one another. After they talked, we prayed one for another. And I had pastors call me immediately after the call. I had pastors text me, email me, and ask me for the notes because they said they really needed to hear this. But probably the biggest thing of all was my brother-in-law, Bob. He says to me, Eli, that was really good. That was a good message, and I really appreciated that. And I told him it means a lot. Brother-in-laws give you a compliment. It's a big deal because brother-in-laws aren't, supposed to do that. And he said he really needed to hear it. But what's interesting, yesterday with the pastors, and today I shared it with the CIA, when I told them, I preached a sermon and told my people to think more about themselves, there was a couple of pastors that were completely shocked that I said those words. They were utterly amazed that I said to my church, some of you need to be a little more selfish and think about yourself. And I just want to ask you guys, when you heard me say those words, think about yourself. Were any of you taken aback by that? Were any of you were like, what did he just say? Because usually when you go to a church, the sermon you hear is, be less selfish, think of others, put others' needs before your own. And here we have this pastor telling me, no, think about yourself. I have on the screen, I have Pat, Kathy, and Sarkis. Did any of you immediately have that whiplash response of, what did he just say? Pat, unmuted yourself.
Security made simple. And goes forward with Comcast Business. Get started with the great offer and ask if you could add Comcast Business Security.
Well, I got something.
All right, Pat, go ahead.
Be nice.
I think it's what struck me is that I got permission to feel that way. So we don't walk around and feel that way, but listen to my pastor who you teach me, you're my teacher. And I was able to have permission from you to think differently. That was unusual. And I think psychologists do that. We give you permission to do this or whatever. So we think so. We go by these rules that we make up or whatever. So what was shocking to hear a leader, and especially a theologian and a mentor and that kind of a guy say, I give you permission to think about yourself. So that was shocking, but it was in the same sense, it was nice to hear that it's okay to think that way, because we did want to hear it.
Well, when I shared this with the pastors, there was a couple that I could see the looks on their eyes. They were like, Eli's lost his mind. But when the pastors started sharing things they needed to say no to, I saw the pastors that didn't agree with the direction I was taking the prayer meeting or didn't agree with the premise for the question. I saw the wheels turning in their eyes and they're like, wait a minute, there are some things I need to say no to. And interestingly enough, on Monday, I said no. The very first thing I did Monday, started business on Monday. I get a call from a pastor who wanted me to come preach for their cluster on the seven last words. If I would preach one of the last words on Good Friday. And I told them no. I said no. It's a very busy weekend. It's a very busy week, getting ready for Easter, and it looks like we're going to have baptismal service on Easter Sunday. It's just a very busy time. I didn't want to do it. I didn't feel bad, but it did feel weird. I felt that it's, you never say no to preaching. You try to preach when you can, but Easter is pretty busy. So I shared that with the pastors, and one of them on the call says, hey, I heard that you said no. How can you say no to that? And right away, there's people that want you, they don't understand why you're saying no. There's going to be people that have issues with that. And I think they could learn from the people I want to share with tonight. They're found. The first one's in Luke chapter 20. I'm going to share 3 people in the Word of God that thought of themselves first. And the first one's in Luke chapter 20. So in your Bibles or on your phones or wherever it is that you look at scriptures or write it down, Luke chapter 20, verse 38 through 42 is the first person I want to share with you in the Bible that thought about themselves. And Jesus actually thought it was a good thing that this person thought about themselves first. It's a very common story. You probably all know it. So I'm going to ask my wife to read Luke chapter 20, verse 38 through 42. Luke chapter 20, verse 38 through 42. I'm giving you examples of people who thought of themselves in the Bible. Sister Annie?
As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Martha, Martha, the Lord answered, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her.
All right. Now, if we follow this story, and I think we all pretty much this story is familiar to us, Martha and Mary. Martha was busy taking care of the preparations for the master to be there, the company. And I don't know if you've ever been at my house when I have a party or a gathering in my house, my wife does not stop. She's kind of like Martha, just chung, 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 running back and forth and making sure things are taken care of. I picture Martha doing an Annie, just running back and forth. But Mary sat at the feet of Jesus. Martha was like that pastor who told me on Tuesday, how could you say no to preach for this cluster, one of the last 7 words? I mean, how could you? I want to ask you, do you believe that Mary, who sat at the foot of Jesus, was she thinking about herself when she said, I'm going to sit here and listen to the master. I'm not going to walk around and cater to people. Do you think she was thinking of herself? By nods of heads, yes or no? Was she thinking of herself? Okay, everybody's nodding yes. Some people don't understand the question. Kathy's playing on her phone. You can see it on her glasses.
Show us, Kathy.
Scripture.
Oh, the scripture.
I don't know where.
Okay, so I think we all believe Mary was thinking of herself. What do you think she was thinking? Sister Annie, since you spoke up, okay, she's thinking for herself. What is it, that thought process where she said, I'm going to sit here and listen to Jesus?
Well, for me, it was probably one of the first times that Jesus maybe came to Martha and Mary's house, and she wanted to give her undivided attention to visit. She didn't want any distractions, so she knew that for that to happen, she was going to have to sit and listen to every word that Jesus had to say. And then I wonder, I mean, I'm hoping that Mary is not the kind of person that just sat all of the time, but I think that at that moment, when she saw that Jesus was going to be there with them, that's what she wanted to do. And that's what we should do when we have a visit from somebody and we want to give them our undivided attention. It's called not multitasking. That's something that women don't do. We multitask. She didn't do that.
All right. I want to take it to a spiritual perception. I feel she said, I'm not going to get a lot of chances to sit and listen to the master. I'm not going to get a lot of chances. Remember, they're very male chauvinists in this society. And Paul even said to the church in Corinth, the women should sit in the back and not interrupt the service. If they have a question, then you wait till they get home and ask their husband. So chances are, in this society, only the men sat around and discussed theological terms or matters. The fact that Jesus was willing to teach her was huge. It was huge. Jesus was willing to teach her. And I think she just wanted to take advantage of that. She just wanted to take advantage of the fact that, hey, I may never get this chance again. I want to listen to Jesus. Now, let me ask you guys, based on what I just read, do you think Mary did the right thing in thinking of herself and listening to Jesus? Yes or no?
Yes.
Everybody thinks she did the right thing. Now, interestingly, let me ask this. Did Martha do the right thing, or was Martha wrong in what she was doing? Anyone? Do you think Martha was wrong for not sitting and listening to Jesus? Okay, Kathy says she wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong.
Martha did what she knows to do. She saw Jesus and she saw a totally different perspective. Jesus is here and I want to serve him.
Okay. The very same thought pattern, I think, arose in Martha. This is the master, and I may never have him in my house again. And I need to serve him while he's here. I want to take care of him and all these people he's invited. There's nothing wrong with hosting. There's nothing wrong with being hospitable. But there's also nothing wrong with you thinking of yourself. There's nothing wrong with it. This pastor on Tuesday, with all these, 2 or 3 of them looked at me like, Eli, lost his mind. Where's this prayer meeting going? You know, our people are all selfish. We need to teach them to be unselfish. And then Martha questioning Jesus about Mary. I don't know if Pat said, I felt freed. I felt like I was getting permission on Sunday to think about myself. I made a statement on Sunday that I want to reiterate. If you don't think of yourself, there are people that will suck the life out of you. And then when they're done with you, they'll move on to the next person. They get sucked the life out. I don't know if Martha was bad intentioned. Annie just said, you know, Martha did what Martha knew to do. Martha was hosting, and Martha's probably the older of the two, the one that took responsibility, you know. So I look at it, there's a lot of Marthas in the world that are not gonna like it when you think about yourself. That doesn't mean they're bad people, but that doesn't mean you have to feel guilty about it either. You don't have to feel guilty about it. I don't want to ask, but I guarantee you there's somebody listening to my voice either on this screen or the 12 people on YouTube, 12 households on YouTube that have heard these words. You don't do nothing for me, and all you do is do stuff for them. There's people that, why can't you just do this one thing for me when you've done 100 things for them? There's nothing wrong with you at some point saying, hey, I got to think of myself. When Mary sat there to listen to Jesus, she was thinking of her spiritual well-being. And I'm going to tell you something right now. There's nothing more important in your life than your spiritual well-being. Somebody tell you, no, my kids are the most important thing in my life. If you're going to hell in a handbasket, but you're taking care of your kids, how is that the most important thing in your life? Well, Pastor, I got to concentrate on my kids. If you're going to hell taking care of your kids, you've lost. Your spiritual well-being has to be the priority in your life. Not your spouse's spiritual well-being, not your children's spiritual well-being, yours. Mary's thinking spiritually, I need to sit and listen to the master. A lot of people don't think of themselves. They think of, they get up in the morning, what do I got to do for everybody else? I gotta feed the kids, I gotta feed my husband, I gotta feed my wife, I gotta feed the dogs, I gotta feed the cats. My wife's doing that right now. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And you don't even think about yourself, and you don't realize by not thinking of yourself spiritually, how am I gonna edify me? You're actually hurting all those other people you think you're taking care of. You're neglecting yourself spiritually because you're not thinking of yourself. Pat put something online, I think it was last week, where he sent a video out to the Ironman world talking about, he had pictures of how he spends his time in his devotions in the morning. And he sent it. Well, that motivated me. And I took a picture of my little motivational time in the morning, my devotions. I have my phone on a little stand. I have my tablet open and my computer open and my Bible open and my headphone. And I sent it to my siblings and to the Brander brothers to tell them getting started the right way this morning. I think it's very important that you consider yourself important enough to say, I'm going to take care of myself spiritually. Not neglect yourself by taking care of everybody else. It starts off spiritually. How was my communion with God today? Mary thought about herself, and I believe spiritually. Now, second person I want to share with you is in Joshua chapter 2. I'll give you time to go to Joshua chapter 2. This is another person who thought about themselves. in Joshua chapter 2. And this lady is famous throughout the Bible. She's famous in the Old Testament. She's famous in the New Testament. And what's interesting is her faith and her selfish thinking would make her famous even to this day. And she's a prostitute. So she didn't have the best upbringing. She didn't have the best of morality, but thinking of herself made her famous. The story is in Joshua chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. Annie, if you can read, it starts with Rahab chapter 2, verses 1 through 5.
Then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go, look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. King of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent his message to Rahab. Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, because they have come to spy out the whole land. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they had come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up to them.
Now, here's Rahab. Rahab just lied to the police, literally. And she's hiding the spies sent by Joshua. We all know that later in the story, she would say to them, I'll help you get into this place, but you got to protect me and my family. When she talked to the spies after this little story, the next few verses, she told the spies this: we heard how God parted the Jordan River for you guys to come across. We heard how you took out the 2 kings on the eastern side of the Jordan River, and trembling and fear has seized the land, because everybody knows that you worship the one true God, and he's given us over into your hands. So what does she do? She saves her own butt. She saves herself. She doesn't save Jericho. She doesn't save the people. She says, I'm going to save myself. I'm going to take care of me. Now, if you're from the people of Jericho, you think this is the biggest betrayal ever. You're only thinking of yourself. I think Rahab would say, yeah, I am, because you people are terrible and you treat me terrible. She's a prostitute. You can imagine how they treat her. And by the way, God's on their side. So I'm going to side with them. Now, I'll ask you guys, do you think Rahab was wrong in selling and hiding these slaves and not telling where they're at? Does anybody think she's wrong? Anyone? She have saved her people. Nobody thinks she should save her. Everybody agrees she did the right thing in saving herself, right?
Yeah.
Everybody agrees. Everybody agrees. She did the right thing in saving herself. So why is it?
Everybody in Jericho had the choice. They could have done the same thing. It's
All
just
right.
like you're the host. You already know that if you take that responsibility, you're the only one that's going to do the work. You can't expect someone to help you unless you already have that set up. So it's a choice that we make, to serve or to sit and listen.
Right. So Sarkis says in the first story, Martha had the choice to sit and listen, but it's her house. She's hosting. She knew she had to do what she had to do. And he says in this case, they weren't the only ones that ran into the prostitute was the only one that ran into him. For sure, they went through the whole city before they got to her house. They all had the same choice. She took the choice. I mean, I want you to understand something. And what I want to get with this, the first one was spiritual. When it comes spiritually, you got to think of yourself. This lady is thinking of staying alive. I'm not going to go against the will of God. God wants to take us out, and I want to live. I want to live. I want to physically be here tomorrow. So I'm going to take care of myself. There are some of you within the sound of my voice who are not thinking of taking care of yourself physically because you're not thinking of yourself. You're martyring. You're martyring yourself for everyone but yourself. Now, I think my wife would say, as a mom, especially these last 2 weeks, taking care of Angelique, these last 15, well, what has it been, like 12 days? Tomorrow's day 4, no, today's day 14, 2 weeks, it is 2 weeks. I think my wife would tell you she's worn herself ragged. She's physically affected herself helping take care of Angelique. And Angelique's not a needy patient. We don't want to think that we're carrying her, dragging her places. No, it's just hard to help her in and out and I have to lift her to put her up on the shower and then lift her to go down. I mean, it's just work. You know, Daniel's taking care of his parents right now. When Daniel needs a caregiver, he's being a caregiver. But there's a point where you have to think of yourself physically. We know that our daughter will be like this for 4 weeks, and then her recovery is 2 months. But we thought for 4 weeks we were going to have to, spoon feed her. At 10 days, she's getting up out of the bed by herself. But we knew it was just for a season. But some of you are allowing people close to you to physically wear you out. Physically. Point 1 was spiritually. Point 2 is physically. How are you thinking of yourself physically? What are you doing right now to physically take care of yourself? Is there anybody that wants to answer that? Pastor, I do this to take care of myself physically. Everybody's looking away, rolling their eyes, biting their teeth, biting their lip. Pat.
I am delegating responsibility to others so I can take a mental break and a physical break so I can recuperate. So I'm asking people to help me, so I'm pulling reinforcements.
All right. So Pat says, I'm not going to my business every day trying to run it. I've hired somebody to help me run it, and I'm leaning on him, and I'm leaning on people to step up. I believe that Pat would tell you, I'm saying no to some things that I know I could do better, but I have to rely on those people to do it. All right. That's something he's doing physically. Anyone else? Is there something you're doing physically to? Anyone?
I'm just saying no, Pastor, and setting some goals for myself. I'm not feeling guilty anymore to saying no. I'm like I told Sister Annie yesterday, it's time for me. And the confirmation this Sunday with this Sunday, that was confirmation for me to just say no, and it's okay to say no, not always yes, and not to feel bad anymore.
All right. Okay, so Lola says, I'm physically taking care of myself by saying no. I've told you guys, and I've been preaching this way for a while now. I realized when I got older that I needed to lean on Michael more. I needed to lean on little Manuel more. I've even had to lean on Daniel more. Daniel, today I showed the CIA the remodeled foyer, and they said, man, that ceiling's beautiful. And I told them, well, Pastor Gary did all of it. And then I remembered, like halfway through it, Daniel scraped the cottage cheese off the ceiling in the sanctuary. And I told them, I said, Daniel did this. And they're like, well, I thought you knew how to do this. I said, I know how to do it. I know how to do it. But I wanted Daniel to break a titanium bolt in his back. So I paid him to do it. But physically speaking, Daniel's 12 years younger than me, or 11. So we paid Daniel to scrape that cottage cheese off. That foyer's big, you guys. And I told him how when he got physically tired, Michael and I, because he left these piles of rocks, Michael and I went and helped. Michael and I went and we finished the cleanup part of it. I look at it as Pat said, delegating. I would say I am admitting my limits. I don't know how to say it. I'm being honest with my this is all I can do. This is who I am now. I'm 51 years old. I jumped out of an airplane 48 times. They told me by the time you're 50, your knees are going to feel like that of an 80-year-old. My knees are fine. They were hurting in the summer, but I took care of that. I just watch how I don't jump off the roof anymore, because you shouldn't be doing that at 51. I'm realizing my limitations. That's what I'm realizing, my limitations. I'm thinking of myself. Don't overexert. You guys that have heard me preach for this, by the way, this Sunday is a 21-year anniversary at Family Christian Assembly. We came the second Sunday in March of 2000 and 2000. So it's our 21-year anniversary pastoring the same church. And I have come to realize that I'm not that 30-year-old that came 21 years ago. So I'm thinking of myself. Don't do that. When you get your Sunday, you'll notice they replaced the doors on the other side of the foyer. So we paid somebody to replace the doors, and we actually paid somebody to help him do it. The church paid somebody to help the guy that was doing the doors. You might think, well, Pastor, why didn't you do it? Because I know my physical limitations. I'm thinking of myself, and I want to pastor at least 2 more years. So I didn't go do it. Now, guess what? After Annie was done teaching, now she can give Angelica her undivided attention. I took off and I went down there and I stayed there till 6 o'clock. And I helped them clean up. In fact, I cleaned up everything with the garbage can, the palas, the shovels, and I cleaned up, and then I helped them carry those doors. I have to think of myself. Physically, spiritually, I think we would all agree. I'm here to tell you, physically, some of you need to look at your limitations. You need to know. You guys know that when we first moved here, I'd go to Washington 4 or 5 times a year. I would drive all night with the kids get to sleep, and then be there 3 or 4 days and turn around and drive back all night. I can't do that anymore. I'm 51. Actually, though, in 2019, the summer of 2019, 2 years ago, I did it, but I did it by myself. I came back, I drove all night. I left Washington at 7 o'clock at night and got here at 7 o'clock in the morning just to see if I could do it. But I know I'm not going to do that all the time, 4 or 5 times a year. But we need to, she took care of herself to stay alive. She thought of herself, and you need to too. I didn't say this on Sunday, and I just want to just say this in moving on from this. Stress will shorten your life.
Yes.
And it'll give you a bad quality of life. Stress will give you a bad quality of life, and it will shorten your life. Think of yourself and quit stressing out about everyone else. If Jesus was talking to you today, he would say, don't stress about everybody. Tomorrow will take care of itself. They'll find a way. They'll figure it out. They found a way to get to you. They'll find a way. Is there anything you want to say about that, dear, about stress? No. And he says, I've been pretty clear. Finally, the third person in the Bible I want to share with you that thought of himself is found in Luke chapter 5, verse 15 through 16. Luke chapter 5, verses 15 through 16. Sister Annie's going to read Luke 5, 15 through 16.
Yet the news about him spread all the more, so that crowds of people came to hear him and to be healed of their sicknesses. But Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed.
Jesus withdrew to be alone. Jesus withdrew to be alone. Now, everybody can question my sermon and say, where does Pastor Eli get off telling people to think about themselves and to say no? Where does he get off? What's he thinking? He's just going to give people a license to sin. Oh, yeah, he throws in Martha and Mary, but we all know that Martha was the good servant. And oh, yeah, he threw in Rahab, but Rahab was just trying to save herself. Okay, argue with me about Jesus. Jesus went away alone. Pat?
throughout the Bible, Jesus, he jammed many times. If you think about it, right? And
Well, the passage says he often withdrew alone. The passage says he often did it.
yeah, he went to the desert for 40 days.
That was temptation.
You know, he did a lot of stuff on his own, and he got away from people.
He did
He went off to pray. When his disciples fell asleep, he was off on his own. He got away from them.
Now, Jesus obviously, we know that when he was praying, he was speaking to the Father and refreshing and reloading. I go crazy in solitude. But is there anybody here that would say, Pastor, I need to be alone sometimes. I need it. Anyone? Kathy and Annie. That too. See, I would go crazy in alone time. I don't think I would do well. I don't think I would do well.
You're never alone. There's always those voices that talk to you all the time. Sorry, Pastor.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I sometimes I like to be alone. So there's nothing going on around me and it's peaceful. And God's there and it's just peaceful. There's no drama, there's nothing. So yeah, I do like alone time because it gives me a renewing and to keep going on. So
Okay.
It's refreshing.
Okay, Annie doesn't know this, but we're planning a ladies' night out in Kathy's backyard as soon as the weather clears up, so you can see where she spends her alone time. If you had to resort, it's her backyard, you'd be outside alone too. You'd be surrounded by dolphins and birds and flamingos.
She's worked hard for it.
And at least 200 hummingbirds. And to me, hummingbirds are scary. So I don't know how long you could be in that backyard.
Hey, they're just now coming back, by the way.
But
So we have
Kathy says
2
she likes to be
hummingbirds and
alone.
no flamingos. So get it
All
right.
right, so she likes being alone. Annie, you were saying what can you add to that? You could relate with Jesus. What?
Oh, because I spend most of my day giving, asking, teaching, doing, moving constantly. And for me, when I'm alone, I feel like that's time for me to feel peace, to refresh. I think it's something that everybody needs. And Jesus leaves us the prime example. I mean, it says there, he often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. I think Jesus is leaving us that example that it's necessary. We need to do that, to reload, to refresh, to feel new again.
Okay, my purpose of putting this in here is not just to defend my sermon. Go ahead, Pat.
I was going to ask Pastor Annie. Pastor Annie, do you have a alone time every morning before you get into the world to go to work?
No, I don't. I do that later on at night. I'm not a morning person. I try to sleep as long as I can because I need the mental rest.
She's just being honest.
I need it mentally, and so I sleep as long as I can in the morning. I spend more of my alone time at night before I go to bed.
Okay, I was wondering.
And I know that. And I know that. I know that. She calls it me time, and it's not me, Eli. It's me, her. I go crazy in solitude, but I didn't put the Jesus example in here just to prove my sermon or defend my sermon. I didn't put this Jesus example. I didn't present this. Number one, I said spiritually. Mary said, I'm going to spiritually think of myself. Number two, Rahab said physically, I'm going to think of myself. And number three, I think Jesus psychologically, emotionally, the word I'm looking for is mental. When you got everybody just coming to take from you, to just, they were just there to take, heal me, deliver me, teach me, whoever came to him, one person that we know of, and washed his feet. Mm-hmm. Everybody else in his life was just there to get something from him. So I think he would separate alone where I don't have to, just be giving. Something interesting happened in my house on Sunday morning. When we got home from church, I sit down in my chair. For those of you that know my house, my chair's right here to my left. And we sit in that chair. I sit down and Rocky, Annie's sister, and Annie are in the kitchen and they're doing something and Danny's outside reheating that carne asada meat. Yeah, boy, had another torta on Sunday. I look in the kitchen and Rocky looks at me and she says, no. I said, no, I haven't even asked for anything. She goes, just no. Whatever it is you can ask for, no. I go, you're not even my wife, Annie. And Annie looks at me and
It was the best sermon he's ever preached in 20 years.
And he goes,
The best.
And he goes, you need to understand something. I am going to practice what you preach. So she said, and she goes, whatever it is you want right now, no. I go, I don't even want anything. I just sat down. Well, check it out. Once I was put on notice that they were going to be putting my sermon into practice, I needed something. I needed a fork. Guess what? I got up and I went and got the fork because I didn't want to give her the opportunity to look at me and say, no. So I needed salt. I went, I got up, even though she was over there, and I got the salt. I needed ice. I went, whatever I needed all day Sunday, I went and got, because I did not want to give my wife a reason to say no. My wife literally sat next to me at the table forever. I mean, she never got up. In fact, I cleared her plate. I refilled her drink. She just sat there. And then she never got up to clean. She just sat there for a long time. And she had one of the most restful Sundays that I can remember in a long time, because I was thinking of myself. I don't want to hear it from her. So I got up and did that. When you start thinking for yourself, you're actually going to become a blessing to others. But what I was thinking about is this. My wife teaches every day on that computer from 8 in the morning till 2:30. And then goes into meetings till 4:30 with principals, vice principals, parents. Tonight, she was making phone calls at 6:15 to parents. I said, she needs mental break. She needs a mental, emotional break from me. Obviously from the computer in her class. I think Jesus went to be alone to recharge by talking to the Father, and the Father mentoring and counseling and discipling him. I don't know what you do to emotionally and mentally recharge. I don't know what you do to, and I don't know if I can put it in any other words. I don't know what it is that you do that physically emotionally take care of yourself. I don't know what it is, but you need to start doing it. My wife says, I like mowing the lawn. I like being out there on that tractor. It must do something with me. It must do something to me. I don't know what it is. I just like being outside. And now that I think about it, I'm alone. When I'm outside, I'm alone.
Tinkering with the tractor.
She says, I'm tinkering with the tractor. I'm alone. I just told you I don't like solitude yet. I spend as much time as I can outside alone, except for today. I tried it this morning. I pulled the hose off the tractor for fuel. I thought it was clogged, and I sprayed gasoline in my eyes, all over my face and my shirt. It was terrible. But I was alone, so with my eyes closed, I found the sink. Jesus left us the example of taking care of ourselves emotionally and mentally. If it's listening to music by yourself, I just found out a friend of mine, his church is doing paint nights twice a week on the weekends, twice a month. And the people are just getting together at the church and painting. And each person that comes has to pay $25. So I was like, man, is that a fundraiser? What is that? But they get all the things supplied to them and they paint. And apparently painting was a way for people to deal with this whole COVID thing. I don't know what they're doing. What is it for you? Are you thinking of yourself? And are you doing something? Spiritually, physically, and emotionally. And emotionally and spiritually kind of go together, but I don't think everything you do has to be spiritual. Like there are people that said, oh, I went for a walk. It's a holy walk. It could just be a walk, people. There are people, yeah, when I'm working out, it's a spiritual time. I'm not going to work out to Lauren Daigle, or I'm not going to work out to Natalie Grant. If I work out, it's Metallica. You know, that I'm going to work out to, you know. So anyway, I hope that you are all thinking of yourself this week, and how you can be better for yourself. Amen? Does anybody want to make any closing comments? Did I pretty much cover it, Annie? I do spend time alone.
Sure do. I'm glad you discovered that tonight.
And yesterday at the office, I wasn't alone. And today at the office, I wasn't alone. I had the CIA, and yesterday I had Jason and Hyman. So, but tomorrow I don't have anybody planned to be with me at the office. Abby did ask me, she said, Dad, can we hang out tomorrow? She says, we haven't had a daddy-daughter day. She's been seeing me give all the attention to Angelique. She's probably saying, Dad, you need to give me some attention. So, when does that end? My daughter's 24. 24?
Never
24,
end.
it doesn't end. It doesn't end ever. All right. Anybody? Any last words? Everybody's good?
I could give one last thing, is that I find that if you make an effort to be up first where it's quiet, and you just intentionally give time to the Lord before you turn the TV on, the news, or step out in the world, your day will be 10 times better. And I encourage everybody to try it tomorrow morning. Read the Word of God or worship music or something, just a few minutes, only you, before you even look at the news or walk out the door.
Awesome. Awesome.
Good night.
Anyone else? Last words? Gloria, did you want to share some words? You're muted, Gloria. You have to unmute it. Do you know how to unmute it?
Yes.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I really enjoyed this service because that's really good about, like, as a grandmother, a mother, you're always thinking of everybody else, like you said, and doing things for that. I can actually say that, like when I go, someone invites me to go eat, or but I won't even go eat by myself without having to bring something for my grandkids, you know. And I says, why do I question myself? Why do I do that? You know, why can't I just say, and it feels bad. Like my friend invited me to go eat, and then I said, oh, I'm gonna order, but I was gonna pay for it, right? I said, I'm gonna order something for my grandkids. She's inviting me to eat, and yet I still can't let go of those kids, you know. I love them, but I can hang them sometimes. But I said, you know what? The other day, my grandson got somebody, and he went and got himself some McDonald's, and I says, you didn't think of us? And he goes, well, you'll buy something. But you know what I'm saying? I just can't. I caught myself that time that I said, you know what? They invited me to go eat, and then I have to bring something home for the kids. It wasn't about me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to do. I'm alone. I like to be alone. I don't like to be around a whole lot of people. I don't like a whole lot. I have enough drama with my daughter. I don't need any more. But I said, wow, I can't even, I'm not really doing anything for myself, which I thought I was because I'm alone most of the time. But I mean, they're around here, but I'm doing things for them or whatever. And I just said, so your message just says, I had to check myself out, question myself. Do I really do things for myself? And I really realized that I don't do a whole lot, you know? And and when I said, okay, I'm going to start doing. And then I mentioned it to my younger grandson, and he said, so now he's been on me. You said you weren't going to do this. You said you weren't going to do this. So sometimes maybe we do need reminders, you know, we need reminders that it's okay. It's like when Pat said he felt like he got permission from you to do things, you know, and that's how I felt even with my grandson saying, you know, thought you weren't going to do this, you know, and you weren't going to. So sometimes we do. I think we take on so much responsibility, like Martha, you know, saying, oh, got to do this, got to do that, got to do this. But for who? Do we really, you know, I do have my spiritual time. I'm a morning person. So I do read my word and meditate and drink coffee with my Lord and everything in the morning. And then the rest of the day is like these kids, you know. But anyway, I just appreciate that we do need, sometimes people might think, like I was telling my friend about the message about thinking of yourself, you know, and she says, oh no, we got to think about, I said, no, you'd have to hear it. Yeah. Cause she said that would be selfish. And then I said, no, I said, see how tired you are? You're always tired because you're running around. Your sister wants to hear, your daughter over there, and she's going back and forth. And so I think that this message, a lot more people need to hear it, because we truly don't, like even myself, that I spend a lot of time by myself. I realized I don't do a lot for myself, you know? So I just thought the message was really good. And
thanks, Gloria. You know what? Now you can tell her Martha and Mary's story. You can tell her the Rahab story. The biggest one, you can tell, you know, Jesus thought of himself. So now you have 3 more things to share with her. And I think it's good to talk with other people about your sermons, because you know what? When I shared that with the pastors on Tuesday, 2 pastors shared something that really convicted me, that they say every time they go sit down to do their devotions, they get to, you know, like I told you guys, I have my computer, my laptop, my tablet, and my Bible. Well, I start checking my messages. I start checking my emails, and then
I see that. I do see that.
And today, because I like to put on music, well, I go to YouTube to find the music to put on my headphones, and I'm looking at YouTube videos before I even started my devotions, and I felt guilty, because when the pastor said that yesterday, I said, oh, I do that. I need to stop doing that. And guess what I did this morning? The exact same thing that I said I was not gonna do. So believe me, it's good to share these kind of things with one another. I want to pray for you guys. Pat's already on his second dessert back there, and I want to give him permission to go have dessert.
Show us what you're eating,
What
Pat.
are you eating, Pat? I saw you going to the pantry. I know you're in the pantry, Pat. I saw you. So let's pray, you guys, and we'll be dismissed for the night. Lord, I thank you for speaking to my heart. Thank you for speaking to me. Thank you for speaking to all of us and freeing us up from just the guilt of not wanting to seem selfish by thinking of ourselves. I pray every person on this call and on the YouTube and the sound of my voice would be able to be healthy spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, so that they can be a blessing to your children and to the people you send us to. Help us to think of ourselves and put you first in ourselves, so that we can grow as individuals. Let us move on from drinking milk and drink little beginner steps in the Lord, and become mature Christians eating steak. I know that what people got tonight and Sunday was extremely deep and extremely different. And I pray that spiritual ears and spiritual minds heard it. And like, 'cause I've heard tonight, they were motivated to do something for themselves. God bless everybody tonight, Lord. Let us all rest in you tonight. In your name I pray. Amen. God bless everyone. I'll see you guys. The men, I'll see you tomorrow. Everybody else, I'll see you Sunday.